Hello, people. We should be live. No introduction because I've been, and this will cost me financially and culturally, fucking Mark about for about a week now. Will you come on my channel? I need you to come on to talk about what happened with trying to. Yeah, Mark's like, yeah, Mark will always do anything to help the cause because that's what he's done for all of his adult life. And then he's like, just tell me when you're going to stream and give me, I've got a family and a job and a life. And I literally was sending him things like, I'm streaming in 20 minutes. Here's the link. And I sort of, he ignored me. And then the next day, right, I might stream in about half hour. If you don't hear from me, it'll be, anyway, you get the idea. So today I committed to a time. He hasn't got long. But quickly, let me just show you this, because on the video I made about this, which has had nearly 3,000 views now, people in the comments are like, no, you're wrong, which is all right. I might be. I am frequently wrong, but I need some kind of argument. I need some kind of, reason. Why am I wrong? So I'm going to show you the Electoral Commission. It should come up on the screen now. There you go. So this is, look, view all parties on the register. The reason Mark's here is because he's been through this and he'll tell you the process. So I go down here, look, search. See what I've already tried. Restore Britain. Search. See that there? No results returned by your query. Now, for instance, if I
there is a current application, so
well, okay, Mark, so there you go, people. There's reform. There's a couple of local reforms as well, but there's a reform there. So that's what the Electoral Commission says. Over to you, Mark.
Well, if you do a search of the Electoral Commission page, it says that they have received an application for Restore Britain on the same day that they received an application for the Camden People's Alliance, which was the 20th of February 2026. I'll put the link in the private chat so you can share.
Yeah. Right, gotcha.
So if you bring that up.
Yep. And I'll push it over there. Okay. So where? There you go.
In the private chat for the.
Yeah, this is the link. This is where it's got me. I've got Restore Britain.
But it's not. I can't see it on the screen for some reason.
Yeah. I've only been doing it 10 years. You'll have to apologise. You'll have to. What a weird Freudian slip. You'll have to apologise. Yeah. Bosh. So why couldn't I find that? I found this, Mark. So here you go, people. This is. Tell me where to go, Mark.
Well, you just went past it. You got to go back down.
Yeah. So it says there, list of current applications.
Yeah.
And then there's
then in the list of current applications for the 20th of February, there is Restore Britain there, which means that Restore Britain now have an application in with the Electoral Commission to become an officially registered political party. So at the current time where we are broadcasting, Restore Britain are not a registered political party. They are at the moment pending their application, which means the Electoral Commission, which usually takes around 6 months, because at the moment we're not officially in an election period, but we are in a period of almost heightened campaigning, because the next election will be on the first Thursday in May. We're in March. There's only March, April, May. And at a time like this, the Electoral Commission will usually cite time constraints and a lack of manpower due to campaigning. So they would usually say at this sort of time, they're around 6 months out from passing new applications. And to get your application passed, you would need to have a constitution. You would need to have a logo looked over if you submit one, and you would need to be in a position where your constitution matches anything that would be seen online about your party. So if you say in your constitution, if you make reference to other things like a manifesto, or if you make a reference to something like the party structure, and you have a website which also references a manifesto or features a manifesto and anything to do with party structure, that would all have to sort of tally up, and the Electoral Commission would then give you a yes or a no.
And you tried this again and again and again, and when you get rejected, you start that. And I know you're not saying it's fixed, but you start that 6 months thing again.
You can do. They then decide pretty much how much they're going to mess you around, and they can mess around Restore if they want. So we were declined for a number of really odd reasons. The first was that our logo had a tick in it, or it was stylized to look like a tick. They said, look, you can't have a tick in your logo. We were like, fine. So then we changed it to just Patriotic Alternative with the V as a large red V, like a V for victory. They then said, you can't have that because it's just writing. And we were like, well, it's not. There's a stylized V in it. And they were like, well, that doesn't matter. We're saying it's just writing. And if we say it's writing, it's writing. So we were like, okay. So then we changed it to the PA, the stylized PA. Then they said that was an abbreviation and we weren't allowed that because parties aren't allowed abbreviations. Then we pointed out other parties like the SDP, which were less well known than us and had less media coverage than us, had an abbreviation without any stylization as a logo. And they were like, so what? It's our decision.
Mark,
we said that was okay for them.
Are these decisions made by just sort of low-ranking civil servants?
They get to make them internally without any oversight, and the only way you can get oversight is by taking them to the High Court. Now, they also at one point said that we needed to ensure that we met all of the equalities legislation, which at a later date they said, yeah, you did. So the last time we got rejected, and we've not reapplied since, is they said to us, look, you've basically met every single requirement. You've met the equalities requirement, your constitution is legally binding, your financial scheme is absolutely fine because we just use their templates. So at the end of the day, if that had failed, it would have been their own template that had failed. And they agreed with everything. And so we said, so why have we failed? And they said, well, we believe that although your constitution is lawful in terms of equalities, we believe that because of the people involved in the organization and because of the sort of people you are, you're going to break your own constitution and you wouldn't stick to the constitution that you've put forward. Now, our argument was, well, we've put forward a legal document, and if we were to break what we have laid out, if we were to break our own constitution, you could deregister us, you could take us to court, you could fine us. But we have laid this out. We've said we're going to stick to it. You can't really ban us on the basis that we might break the law in the future.
It's future crimes. It's
exactly.
Philip K. Dick. It's Minority Report. It's like,
well, that's what happened, and it was very, very unfortunate. But I fear that Reform has come out with a number of big statements. The biggest being that they have said that having a British passport does not make you British. Now, my fear is that although I think Rupert Lowe is really great, I think what he's saying is the right thing. I agree with him on obviously his ethno-nationalist standpoints, but my concern is the Electoral Commission are going to look at that and they are going to say, well, your constitution may not be something you could stick to because you've said that you don't believe people who have a British passport and are British citizens are British. You are essentially saying there is another level of Britishness that we believe breaches equality legislation. And if they say that, Rupert Lowe would have a fight on his hands. Now, they might not say that. They might say, look, Rupert Lowe is too big, too rich, has too many members to basically make that argument, because if they make that argument, they're going to have a much bigger fight on their hands than they would have had with Patriotic Alternative if we'd have taken them to the High Court. And what's more, for Rupert Lowe, a High Court challenge that might cost 50, 60, 100 grand is it's pocket change.
Yeah.
So they might not play this game, but they can absolutely play that game if they want to. And they can also be a lot sneakier. So if they wanted to, they could look through the entire register of all political parties and say, well, we think this name or this branding is too close to another party's, and force Rupert Lowe to try and change the name, which would also lead to a High Court challenge. But I think the Electoral Commission are fundamentally undemocratic. They're not here to help democracy. They're here to ensure that the status quo doesn't change and that there aren't real challenges to the mainstream political party and the mainstream establishment machinery. And I think Rupert Lowe is probably the biggest and best chance any sort of ethno-nationalist movement has ever had post-Second World War.
And the clock's ticking as well. That's also important in this context.
Think of it like this. In 1999-2000, white Britons made up roughly 90% of the population. So, and these are just rough figures. 1999-2000, white Britons make up roughly 90% of the population. By 2024-2025, white Britons made up roughly 70% of the population. So every 25 years, we decline in share of population by 20%. So we are losing, on average, a percentage share of 0.8% per year. That's on average. And we know that it's actually accelerating. So that's best case scenario. So really, you're looking, if things continue at that 0.8% average, at being a minority around 2050, maybe just before, maybe just after. So we've got about 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, somewhere in the 20 to 30 year bracket. I would say 25 years would be a good estimate. But
in terms of time, sorry, go on.
That means something either happens very soon or you're fighting from a minority position.
Yeah, that was my point, is if we keep voting in, or if the government stays the same kind of left or centre left or even centre right or even right, they're just going to keep bringing in voters. That's the trick. We all know it. Bringing voters. So you run out of time long before you're a minority. Come here, keep voting for us. We'll give you free stuff. That happens long before the actual number, long before replacement. The voter base has been established, and the chances of a nationalist party like Restore Britain getting in become smaller and smaller, simply because they don't have the numbers in the.
It's more complex than that. You're sort of painting the best case scenario. The issue you also have is white Britons do not act as an ethnocentric group that behave within group preference, whereas nearly all other ethnic groups do. So we saw in the recent Gorton and Denton by-election, white Britons are a minority in Gorton and Denton, but they are the largest minority at about sort of 45 to 48%. Now, Pakistani Muslims make up around 22-23% of Gorton and Denton, but they clearly swung that by-election for the Greens. Now, if obviously all white Britons had stuck together and voted as one singular ethnic group, then they would have easily won that. And whichever party they would have backed would have been returned to Parliament with a massive majority. However, that wasn't the case. Instead, the white Britons were all fractured, voted for different parties, went for their own little faction that they thought would be the best for them, whereas the ethnic minorities in the area all went for the Green Party, and the Green Party won easily. So
it's normal for them to, like you say, look after themselves. That's just part of their culture. They haven't had it battered out of them for like 50 years, since you say, like post-Second World War leftist orthodoxy, individualised, separated. And, you know, it seems like an awful thing to say. The things that the replies I've seen on Facebook to Rupert Lowe's speech on his farm, like from white people, they're horrified at what he's saying. Whereas I can't imagine Khmer people, for instance, they'd be horrified the other way around. They'd be like, "Why aren't you doing that? What are you talking about? These are your people." It's just absurd.
That's just the way it is. White people, white Britons especially, are very, very deracinated. They have this suicidal empathy where they always have to put other people first and can never prioritize their own needs.
Do they have that, or has it been fed to them?
Well, I think that Europeans are quite a high IQ people, and people who have high IQs are often people as a group who have this high empathy. And we do empathize with people. We do think outside of our own needs. We are a very charitable people. We're very kind people. We often think about the environment, the care of animals, and that defines us as a people. And it actually works in our favor when we act as a group. But as soon as we begin to take that empathy and apply it places where we shouldn't, it backfires on us. And I think what's happened, especially post Second World War, is the media, which is our sort of mortal enemy, has essentially taken our empathy and weaponized it against us. And instead of looking at our own people as extended family, we instead have been taught to prioritize the needs of others above our own. So our empathy has been sort of twisted against us. So rather than sort of white women looking at white children and saying, hey, look, this is what we need to do. We need to have white babies. We need to look after these white babies, and we need to prioritize our own people. They actually now look at ethnic minority groups as the group that they should empathize with the most and look after the most. So it's almost like the baby has been taken out of the crib and the ethnic minorities have been put in the crib, and white people are now having the greatest empathy instead of for their own, who are often maligned and discriminated against. We are instead having empathy for people who are being brought here to replace us. And that's a very, very dangerous situation. Yep. And it's going to be something which will ultimately lead to our downfall. But unfortunately, I've got to go because my daughter's out. I've got to go and grab her in, and we're going to have dinner. If this had been sort of a little bit later, I'd have been able to stick around longer. But I would love to do a proper stream with you again, Chris. It's really nice to work with you again. And sorry, I've got to get off. But I am going to fly now. And if we can work together,
yeah, I'll let you up. I'll let you up. I mean, it's midnight here. That's what you've got to remember.
Yeah. Well, look, if you sort of streamed sort of 2 hours earlier, it would have been perfect for me.
All right, go and feed your daughter. We'll sort something out.
Thank you so much.
So
Cheers.
much I want to ask you. Thanks for coming on.
You.
Cheers,
Mate.
Mark.
Bye.
Oh, what a shame, man. So much to ask him. Interesting how he outright just refers to Restore Britain as an ethnic party. That isn't something that Restore Britain have put front and centre. And I wonder how people think about that. I think, God bless him, while that was going on, Anglo, unprompted, the grift hasn't even been mentioned. Keep up the great work, Mark, our big Sam and Laura. I will make sure he sees that. Let me grab a screenshot of it now. Oh, I'll tell you what, I was rushing around to get this sorted. Thank you, Anglo. Much appreciated. As always, I'll just pop that into my Paint Shop Pro. There you go. That is now saved. I'll ping that over onto Mark's Telegram. People, let me tell you this. All right. Thank you, Anglo. Let's get the grift out of the way. People, you see that QR code above Packer's head? He's going to point to it now. Yay! Put your phone camera over that. I'll give you a link. You can buy me a coffee. You can buy me 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And I'll send you a bespoke video reply. Hello, thank you very much. Hey, I'll, act like a monkey, jump up and down, all that nonsense from a $5. Or you can do a super chat, which is at the bottom of the YouTube chats. I don't mind. So that's weird. They have made an application. Let's have a look further into that because I couldn't find that the other day. Let's see when oh my God, I know that is. That's got to be Leon. Leon's dropped a Lady Godiva. We need a miracle unless Lowe wins it over. I can't bear it. Well, Leon, I'm about to respond to a video which it appears to be bad news. Darling.
Yeah.
Come here. Come here. Sorry, people. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Look, light.
I know.
Right, the other day, people, we were making the love, and this is like out of a horror movie. This is. Can change colour of light. What, to yellow?
This is yellow outside.
I don't know why it's not working. Right, I was making the love about 3 weeks ago, and I felt something like not right under my hand on my girlfriend's back. And so what you know sometimes when you're making the love, we've all had it where you've got cramp or something, but you think, I've got to carry on. I can't sort of just go, I've got cramp love like some, like Stan Ogden or something. So you're still doing it, but one leg sort of stretched out, and you're like, ah. And then I've sort of looked. My hand was black with flying insects. And I just said to her, darling, look. And she went, ah! Come in the front room everywhere. I wouldn't be exaggerating. It could have been 5, 10, 15,000 of them. We were sweep them out here. We use like these sort of bamboo. What a surprise! Southeast Asia, everything is made of bamboo or rice, or a combination of the two. But instead of using the sweeper, and you've got the bin that you sweep stuff in, we were using the bin just to scoop them off the floor near the door and chuck them outside. And check out the crazy. I'll keep this quick. But when people have funerals or weddings in Phnom Penh, it's cheaper to put a marquee up in the middle of the road, leaving just enough at the side for like cars to get by, than it is to book a hall. So people just put marquees up in the street, in the middle of the city. It's nuts, man, which causes congestion. Now, not only that, we've got a street light outside of the front of our house. We're on the second floor. There's a street light. I'm putting all this into ChatGPT. I'm describing these insects. There's a couple of, like, dare I say, throw cushions with loads of wings on them, but with no insect, just wings. I put all this information, and ChatGPT said, you've created the perfect storm for a termite invasion. The marquee downstairs has somehow interfered with their nest. So the queen has sent out, like, what do you call them? What do they call, Packer? Like insects send them out, like pheromones or something.
Soldiers.
What?
Soldiers.
Soldiers? Yeah. But no.
Explorers.
They've sent out like some kind of scent that has told the soldiers to go and find somewhere else to live. So they've all like ba 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 ba. They found the street light outside our house. They've seen this light here, and they thought, well, and there's hundreds of them on my desk. They're all over my arms. When Mark was talking to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, like trying to listen and all that. And, there's a light here, like one of those ring lights. I call it a TikTok light, yeah. And it's covered in them, absolutely covered. Well, it's not so much. There's about 30 on it, but we had to get shot of them because if you don't get rid of them tonight, they will get in between your floorboards, in between your coving. They'll start eating it, and your house will fall down. But then it said, well done. You've been in Thailand, Cambodia for nearly 8 years, and this is your first termite story. It said most people get one every the average is 4 years. But for that one night, it was horrible. Like even going to bed, like we had to keep cleaning them out of the bed, and then more would appear. Ooh, and that pillow covered in wings. Those fuckers, they fly in. They don't need their wings anymore. They're just a liability. So they just get shot at them, and then they get on their legs so they can, they can get around unseen where they haven't got wings. Oh, absolutely horrific, like proper horror story stuff. Anyway, so that's why I'm a bit skittish at the moment, people, because it would appear we've got an invasion, and instead of doing something about it, my missus is watering the plants, which means she's not shutting the windows. She reckons making the light yellow helps. Yeah, that'll work. Right, so thank you, Leon. Right, I'm with you. I can't bear it because this is it's Last Chance Saloon, as I was talking to Mark there about. The left's idea is to import voters. It's what happened in America. If Trump hadn't won the last election, I mean, look how many people Biden's regime brought in, and they're just people to vote for the left because the left give them stuff. They give them welfare, and it gets to a point where you've just got too many people who are going to vote for that party and vote for their own interests that Mark alluded to. And you know, if that were to spill over, and that would be the situation in the UK, that doesn't change for you require generational changes to get it back to anything resembling what it could get back to now. But this is like, it does feel like the last chance. This is a last chance saloon to dare put ourselves first. Isn't that bizarre? What a strange way to end up. Like when I tell my missus stories about all this, she just can't. It's just she hasn't had that propaganda. She hasn't had that sort of you know, that demoralization. You know, those stages that they've gone through since that post-Second World War orthodoxy of you're bad. I mean, even Konstantin kissing to that rape gang survivor. We don't want white people collectivizing. Like, he outright said that. He's an immigrant here. And he said, we don't want white people. He said that to a grooming gang survivor. The one thing that may have prevented that, and would certainly prevent it happening, well, almost certainly prevent it happening again. And his reason he gave for not wanting white people to collectivize, and he sort of pointed over his shoulder and went, because you've only got to look at history. And I was thinking, what, he must be talking about the Merchant Navy or something. Like when white people collectivized, they sailed all around the world and discovered things, and you know, it was the greatest empire history ever made. Oh, you must have been talking about that time when they ended the Atlantic slave trade. Well, oh, you're talking about that tiny little thing that happened over there, and that's it. From then on, white people can't collectivize. I mean, it's just shocking. And what really does me about Konstantin kissing is he's now dining out on like being supposedly being a right-wing extremist. Like, he loves being called that. You know why he loves being called that? Because he isn't. He's not even close. I mean, for a start, there's nothing wrong. You have to excuse me, I've got a terrible cough. There's nothing wrong with being an extremist, by the way. That's just a word that we've been told is bad. But the Western the systems of Western Europe, the political systems, especially the electoral systems of Western Europe, have been designed to prevent radical change. That's why the right didn't get in France. Because what happens you win the first round, you win the second round, you know, you've got the numbers. But by the third round, all the leftists who hate each other, they all get together and say, well, we pretend to work together, or the right wins, and they all get in. And, you know, it's either got to be a too big to rig situation. It really is. Sorry, I just see Sophie's comment. Well, I like Mark. And when he said to me, I've only got 15 minutes, and I wanted more. But I have been giving him 15 minutes notice to come on a stream. Darling, look on here. We've got to shut the doors, love. Look on the light.
I know.
Yeah, but you can't see them. You just don't want to be on the camera. That's why you won't come here. I'm trying to work out why she won't do it. All right. But look, a couple of things I want to show you before we're gonna react to this video about Restore Britain. I'm not blackpilling you people, but what I hope it will do is actually show you what needs to be done, because it's not being done at the moment. At the moment, Elon Musk retweeted him. 30,000 views on this video. And yet something like 86% of the British electorate couldn't tell you who Rupert Lowe was. So while everyone's sitting there thinking, this is it, it's happening, in this video I'll show you by someone who's, he's kind of, what would the word be? What's the word I'm looking for, Packer? Something to the cause.
Martyr.
No, you're so wrong sometimes.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Someone in the chat will have it. But thank you, Leon, for that donation, by the way. Much appreciated. Yeah. Lowe needs to win, but it's a long way out. John Fuse, who I spoke to on Twitter and got very confused, Twitter, on YouTube chat. Is it suicidal empathy at this point or just pure narcissism? I guess at least I can say, at least I wasn't a racist, as we are replaced in our own homelands. I also think there's a BDSM element. I think there's a lack of information. There's a lack of information, and there's an overwhelming amount of bias information. Kids at school are taught stuff that, they're taught things that aren't true, that don't correlate to the real conditions of our existence. How do you expect to build movements when kids are given sort of 16 years of incorrect education, and you've got like a year or two to get in there, clean that mess out and change them, while they're part of a peer group who are going to abandon them? The missus is going to do the off, and their parents are going to think they're fucking Goebbels or something. It's a difficult job. It's a difficult job, and that's what suicidal empathy isn't the motivator. It's just the effect. That's what happens. Nice one, John, on the donation. Much appreciated. And thanks for what you said in the comments on YouTube, because it caused me to look into it further. And that's why I talked to Mark again. So that was much appreciated. But check this out. So there's these two Zionist Jews. Now, I don't know a lot about this. This isn't my area. But I know that I know that Zionist Jews and what they understand and believe about the Holy Land of Israel. I can't get it back to there. Thank you, John, for that donation. So we've got a couple of Zionists on GB News. How much of a letdown has GB News been? A couple of years ago, we all thought, here we go, look, a bit more right-wing media. I mean, it might as well just be TVAM at this point. It's like, what?
They won't have Rupert Lowe on, will they?
Well, I didn't know that, but this is how surprised I am by that. Yeah, there you go. They won't have him on. Why? What, you don't like conversation? Nice news. That's how absurd things are. So check this out, right? I'll put it up on the screen before I play it so you can see this the little ticker at the bottom. It's not playing, but it's caught at a very funny time. I was being really careful to mute my mic every time I hit my vape because I know Mark hates it. I've seen him on the stream before and he said to someone, can you stop making that fucking ridiculous noise, that stupid thing in your mouth? as I'm doing that, I'm watching Packer going,
I'm so glad I was muted then.
right, look at what it says at the bottom. Britain to get anti-Muslim hostilities are. Just keep it coming, people. Keep it coming. I mean, there's only one victim here. Keep it coming. It's absurd. Anyway, this is a short clip, and I've got to give credit. This is from GB News, but I watched this on No Chance. No Chance, a Scottish fellow. He's been on this channel a couple of times. I've been on his. Yeah, listen to what this fella's got to say, right? I'll hide that. I'll mute myself. But it's a very short clip, but listen to what this Zionist fella's got to say. It will blow your mind.
Now we have this kind of fringe thing of ethno-nationalism, of saying only people who are, generations and generations English should be in England. Those sorts of things are a bit silly. So I'd like to see, for example, a movement of migrants for Britain.
Right. Right, can you hear me, or am I muted, Packer? Right, you can hear me, right. So first of all, I just want you to listen to his argument. He's on a news show. Listen to I'll pause it after his argument. So this is essentially his argument. Hypothesis, thesis, conclusion. It's a three-parter. You can split this up into three parts. So here we go.
Are a bit silly. So
hang on. Come on. Right, here we go.
Now we have this kind of fringe thing of ethno-nationalism, of saying only people who are, generations and generations English.
Or ethnically is another word for that.
Should be in England. Those sorts of things are a bit silly.
All right, that's the thesis. It's a bit silly. I mean, it could be a bit silly, but maybe you've got limited time, but also a huge change in the sort of global power dynamics could also be described as a bit silly, especially when one of those dynamics is a death cult. Some people have described it as a death cult. I've read its books and it doesn't come across great, I'll be honest with you. So I'll take it back a little bit.
I was going for running with scissors, silly.
Right, there you go. Yeah, and Christmas bollards. But check out because it's a bit silly, he wants this.
Those sorts of things are a bit silly. So I'd like to see, for example, a movement of migrants for Britain. That would be a really interesting thing. I know loads of migrants or children of migrants like myself who are very proud of Britain, grew up British, made British values fundamental to their families. And that's obviously just as valid as somebody who can trace their family back generations.
Surely part of that is embracing the flag of this country.
Because the flag.
So he wants migrants for Britain, which is, if that's what he wants to organise, that's fine. But why doesn't he have like a migrants for Israel? Why isn't he pushing that agenda? Because from what I know about Zionists, they want the absolute opposite. That they don't want migrants for Israel. So I mean, like I say, it's not my main area, but what I know about it, that would seem a little bit, what's right for thee is not for me. Now, it was a shame I didn't get to show this clip on the same, while Mark was here, because this is, where is it? Damn. I'm sure it was on No Chance's channel. It's Tommy Robinson and Russell Brand, of all people. Is this it? I know this geezer. He used to be a comedian, Josh Howie. I've been on the same bill as this fella. and now he's like some Jewish activist. Really strange. He was a terrible comedian as well. Oh, it would appear I cannot find. But I tell you what, Tommy Robinson's, who I think deserves quite a lot of credit for some of the things he's done, but he does get a lot of things wrong as well. Some of the things he says about Mark are patently untrue. Oh, I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I'm not going to waste any more time looking for it because we have got. Let me get rid of these. Bosh. So this is a video that we're going to react to. Thank you for the donations. If anyone uses Buy Me a Coffee, which is the QR code, if you don't like that, the link in the description, let us know in the chat because Packer will pick it up and I'll get your moment of glory on the screen, which, you know, I think is fair enough because super chats do. Right. So here we go. Let's have a look at this video. It's called Restore Britain. Well, listen, people, by the way, I made another video about Restore Britain and I questioned that application process. And what I will say is I think a few people thought I was against them. I'm not. I'm just looking at potential issues because I think that's interesting. And good Lord, that's an interruption. Dickens Cider has dropped a bullseye. And he said, "Hi, Chris, new subscriber here. Dickens Cider, bullseye. Packer's giving you a salute there. That's a Dickens Cider salute. I've recently come into a fairly large amount of money." Yeah, me too. Like literally like about 2 minutes ago. It's all relative, isn't it? "I could max out my 20k stocks and shares ISA for the next 10 years, but I'm unsure about the current AI bubble. It's not a bubble, it's an industrial revolution. Ping me an email, get a pen and paper, let Packer know in the chat when you've got a pen and paper or some way of writing my email down, and I'll be able to help you out, all right? And I can do that. But what you do, that if you've come into a fairly large amount of money, even if it was like 200 grand, you're 23 years old, you could retire when you're 40 on that. Sound good? Does it? Sounds great, doesn't it? Thank you for that bullseye. Let's have a look in the chat and see if you've got a pen and paper. Dickens Cider. Hello, Ams. How are you? Didn't know Ams was on the firm. Hello, Mal. Right, let's see. Hello, Cole. Alexander's here. Alpha Cat's here. There we go. Right, pen and paper you got. Right, ready? It's not that difficult. Chris at chrisdangerfield.com. There you go. Chris at chrisdangerfield.com. If you get no joy there, if you're on X, I'm on X, and I'll put it in the chat now. At Flanner Words. So there you go. Hello, Woodlander. How are you, son? Well, it's a packed house because it said featuring Mark Collett. And after I'd updated the thumbnail and the title, he then said I could only spare 15 minutes. It's a bit of an accidental bait and switch. So I'm doing my best to behave. I hope you're well, Si. So there you go, Dickens Cider. Thank you for that bullseye. Absolutely lovely. Get through another week, love. We can just about make it. Old Dickens Cider helped us out. Won't be able to feed the dog, though. We might have to stick him in the oven. Sorry. Oh, look at that. It's me on the screen. Right.
Your mum's bison or whatever it is. Buffalo.
Yeah. Grandmother's... we've run out of bovine references, haven't we?
Chickens.
That'll do. Just say chickens. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm actually Romany heritage. People keep saying to me, "You look Jewish. You should maybe do that 23andMe." I say, "No, it's because I look Jewish that I'm not doing it." Heidi Yoshi of For New says, Chris, you make me laugh. AI is the Industrial Revolution, but still wants pen and paper. I love you. There you go. Yeah, it's the simple, mundane dialectics. That's, we're up to our ankles in them. Even during the Industrial Revolution of the late 19th century, a quill and ink was still of high relevance. Right. But Dick Insider, ping me an email. If you don't hear from me in 2 or 3 days, let me know either on a stream. I won't be streaming in 2 or 3 days. I'm so busy with this new novel. New novel? What about the old one? It's available on bookshops now. You can go into any bookshop. If they haven't got it in stock, they will order it for you. Or if you prefer Amazon, just type Love in the Time of Nudie Mags or my name. Marks out of 100, Packer, that novel?
99.5.
Lovely, lovely. No one wants perfection. No one wants perfection. Thank you, Packer, for reading it. Now, you're all right, mate. We can make this work for you. You've got time on your side. You can't time the market, but you can have time in the market. That 20 grand a year ISA, I mean, Starmer might fuck that, but that, Americans don't have it. But just that alone, just maxing out that 20 grand a year, take you up to about 35, 40. Historically, well, I'll tell you all this in a thing. But what I would say is don't go spunking money. Don't go to any financial advisors. I've got a financial advisor if you actually want to talk to a professional. He's done all his certification and all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, if you've got a couple of 100 grand, that could see you for the rest of your life when wisely invested. And this isn't taking punts on like growth stocks like I managed to get lucky on Palantir. No, this would likely be the S&P and the Nasdaq. And at the moment it's down. It's a time to buy. At the moment the market's bearish. You just chuck it on and just sit back. Historically, every bear market is followed by a bull market. Every time. Every time the market goes down, it comes back up again. Because you know what happens if it doesn't? America and the world collapses. If your investments go into a bear market and don't recover, nor does the world, and money will be the least of your problems. You can't eat it. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, thank you, Dickens, for that bullseye. That's great. And I'm not against Restore Britain, people. I just think that, as Mark explained, they can prevent you registering just some low-level civil servant, just like, we don't really want these people running the country. Bye. And they got Patriotic Alternative on future crimes, literally Minority Report. I mean, they didn't have 3 shaven-head lesbians in a bowl of muck predicting the future. But it's the same thing. We think you'll break the law in the future, so we're not giving you. However, I've done some further research, and what it would appear a lot of parties are doing at the moment is setting up local independent parties. Like Rupert Lowe's party, it's not called Restore Great Yarmouth. It's called something like the Great Yarmouth. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's got Great Yarmouth, which doesn't smell like Westminster. So you set up loads of local parties where you're essentially saying, I live in this town, I know the town hall, I know how the beach used to look, I know that road is fucked, I know that congestion that we get every day because of they're local people, they know the situation, it's very easy to get attention because you can get your group of people. They're going around, they're handing out leaflets. They know what is important to people. We don't want that hotel up there. We don't want that. You know what I mean when I say that. And then when you've got like couple of thousand of them, you come together as one. That is a technique, a strategy, should I say, that's also being used by people who understand that the political system of Western Europe is intended to prevent radical change. That's not just me saying that. That is it. Look into it historically. That first past the post system is there to prevent radical change, because the radical party can always get outnumbered by a consolidation of the opposition. You know, for Rupert Lowe to win, he's got to get more votes than everyone else put together, or they just get together, and that is what it's about. That's why it works like that. You know, it's a terrible system, and it's got us where we are today, which is essentially the Middle East. A little bit of sub-Saharan Africa chucked in. Right, let's have a little look. We won't watch the old video because A, it's not my content, and the missus wants to get some sleep, and it's already 1 a.m. But this bloke's got some interesting stuff to say, even though unfortunately I paused him on that face. That's that geezer that offered me out when I was about 18 on acid, and I see him look like that, and I thought, well, this will be fun. you looking at my bird? No, but I'm with 9 other blokes, so if you want to do this, I mean, I won't go outside for a straightener, but I'll set my animals on you. Packer, can you tell me if you can hear him when I play this?
Restore Britain hit 100,000.
Loud and clear.
Lovely. Right, here we go, people. So I will interrupt and respond. Now, listen, anyone in the comments who says, why do you keep interrupting it? Because if you don't, it's not a reaction video and you get in trouble. That's what you have to do. And YouTube can actually get me. This geezer can actually get me. I doubt he would, because it seems like a nice bloke. But if you just want to watch his video, just search for Restore Britain is growing faster than Reform UK, but there's a problem. And you can go and watch it without me yapping all the time. Here we go. Roll VT.
Members in 15 days. To put that in the only context that matters.
I'm taking it back to the beginning. Here we go.
Restore Britain hit 100,000 members in 15 days. To put that in the only context that matters, Reform UK under Nigel Farage, the most recognisable brand on the British right now, needed 5 months to reach the same number.
Right, that sounds amazing. And this is what this is all about. We're being sold a bit of a dummy here. And I'm not saying Rupert Lowe is selling us this dummy, nor is Elon Musk. But it all seems very exciting. But as you'll see this fella start putting these numbers into context, you'll realise how much further up that hill we've got to climb to get anywhere near power. And that's what this is all about, of course.
UKIP, in decades of trying, never got there at all. But first, I need to tell you about the pig. Because while Restore Britain was rewriting membership records, a rival right-wing outfit called Advance UK, 40,000 members, Elon Musk endorsed them, Tommy Robinson on board, stood their first parliamentary candidate, a well-regarded local charity worker with an MBE, their best possible electoral debut on paper.
So we've all heard of Advance UK. They were knocking about and they were gaining a bit of traction last year. I think Barclay had something to do with them, but had some internal squabbles. I'm not quite sure. I won't say any more about that until he's here to defend himself. But so they got their a respected local man with an MBE. Their best shot at it. Elon Musk put his name behind it. Tommy Robinson put his. Whatever you think of those people, they do get eyes on these people. So it all looks great.
They came 7th behind a candidate called Sir Oinkalot.
This geezer didn't even turn up. he's Monster Raving what's it called? The Monster Raving Looney Party, which has been going since I can remember. Like I remember this in the early 70s. That it would go Labour 9,000, hey, and then it'd go Monster Raving Looney Party, and there'd be a bloke on stage dressed up as a teapot, and it would say like 105, and there'd be a few drunk blokes at the back of the hall going, hey, maybe next year. He beat this bloke. He beat their candidate that had Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson behind him in a little local election.
By 5 votes. Both things are true at the same time. So let's start with what actually happened. On the evening of the 13th of February, Rupert Lowe published a 7-minute video filmed on his farm in Norfolk, announcing the launch of Restore Britain as a national political party.
And it isn't. As we've already seen, the application is in. That could take 6 months to process, as Mark has been through and explained. If they get rejected for anything, Mark got rejected on the last time because they thought he might break the rules in the future. So if that's kind of like the furthest future crimes is like the most ridiculous reason to reject someone. If they reject Restore Britain, this is something Mark told me the other day as well. There's another party called something like the Restoration Party, and they don't like similar names. Reform UK might be too similar to Restore. I mix them up all the time. When I'm talking to people, I'm like, well, the thing about Reform is, they go, do you mean Restore? I'm like, yeah, sorry. So that they could say, no, that's a year. Apply, 6 months processing, rejected. Apply again. Oh, you can't apply for another 6 months, by the way. So if they get turned down 3 times, and PA got turned down, I think, about 5 or 6 times. So if they get turned down 3 times, the general election happens, and they're not even registered as a political party. Now, I know what Rupert Lowe's saying. I'm launching this. We were a movement, but what he's essentially saying is we intend to become a political party. But they're not yet. And that needs to be, we need to bear that in mind.
The video hit 2.4 million views within hours, with Elon Musk posting directly, join Rupert Lowe in Restore Britain because he is the only one who will actually do it. The launch video eventually reached over 30 million views. Day 3, 50,000 members. Day 5, 70,000. Day 7, 80,000. Day 15, the 28th of February, Lowe posts on X, Restore Britain has 100,000 members. History in the making.
And it does look, and it did feel like that, and the excitement, it sort of went across YouTube, and everyone was like, wow, for someone who's saying things that, let's be honest, Reform UK was a disappointment. Before Restore Britain, we were all like, oh, hang on a minute, here's someone who's going to look at immigration. And then Ben Habib got involved. And then Farage started talking about how much of the population is going to be made up of Muslims in like 2050, and that we should, work with them. And it was like, and everyone thought essentially the best of a bad bunch. And now he's bringing in loads of ex-Tory members. Like it's like Tory 2.0, the Tories 2.0. Now, I think Nigel Farage is all about Nigel Farage. He continually claims to have caused Brexit, when in truth the voters caused Brexit. But what did Brexit actually give us? What are the pros of Brexit? Because it wasn't negotiated, was it? It's like Brino. It's Brino, isn't it? Brexit in name only. We've been shafted off of the back of Brexit. The EU, they just went, right, we've got to make sure that everyone else sees how this won't work for you, how leaving the EU won't work for you. So well done, Nigel. You've done it, but it's a briny. You can use that on your own channels. And so when Restore come along and all these numbers started flying around, people were over the moon. It seemed like this is something real. It hasn't got that, and it still hasn't got that sense of disappointment that Reform had, where we all thought, fucking hell, you know, we've been had again, you know. We've been, this is, do you, like, you know, 42 said the other day, when I said about Laura Taylor saying we were never asked, and 42 come on and said, actually, you were. Because if you go to this website here, blah, 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 you can see that they put all these things up about bringing in immigrants. And so we were asked, we just weren't told that we were asked. Now, I mentioned that to Mark. And again, I wish I had Mark here to say what he said. But Mark said, that's not strictly true, because every single party over the last 30 years that has been voted into power promised a reduction in immigration. And they were voted. And immigration is nearly always the top, unless you're like some spastic green or something, or an actual communist, Ash Sarkar, and that's like 3 people. Not her, but, you know. You voted them in because they said, you know, we are going to reduce immigration. And every single one of those parties increased immigration. So there was a sense of asking, and there was definitely a sense of being told, yeah, but nah. Anglo's dropped another 10 spot. Ribeye tokens, mate, thank you. We had a couple of delicious ones the other day. Mrs. outside on the barbecue, bosh, bosh, bosh. She's got this little clay pot. She puts a couple of bits of charcoal in it. I don't know what it is. Probably not charcoal. This is Cambodia. Probably like dried cow poo or something. But the ribeyes were lovely and they were on you, so thank you. The house is coming on sweet, but we're going to probably give it a bit longer because I need to make some money selling books. I'm fucking brassic. If you bought this and haven't reviewed it on Amazon, people, leave a review. That does wonders for me. And if you do want to buy it, but Amazon's not for you, just go into a bookshop or even a library. And if they haven't got it in stock, they'll order it for you. Library or bookshop. Bookshop, you're obviously going to have to pay. But yeah, that's when I'll build the house. I've got most of the money, but not enough to sort of build it and move in. Do you know what I mean? So we're just going to wait, and I'm going to make this. I'm finally finishing the novel I've been working on for 10 years. Which is why I'm so tired and why I haven't been streaming so much. So apologies, but I am wankered. Sorry about the language. I'll tell you what the time is. I don't know what the time is. It's probably about 1:30 in the morning here. And when I finish this stream, I'll get onto the writing. I'll go to bed about 8 o'clock this morning. So I'll make it work. I always make it work. That's how it works. So that's how the house is going. I've got to get a few more books out. We'll be all right. Life's all right. Anglo's dropped another 10 spot. He said, Rupert said, if millions need to go, then millions need to go. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's mad, isn't it? Because this is just common sense. You know, when you see, who's that Packer? What's her name? That awful BBC One journo, Mateless. Is that her name, Mateless?
Well, she is one of them.
Emily Mateless. Yeah, she had him on, and she was just trying to drive him. Everything he said, next line was like, well, you're horrible. And she essentially just pushed him into a corner where she went, so you're racist then? It was like, oh, Lord, he's not Dapper Laugh. She can't play this game with fucking Rupert Lowe. You know, and people are sort of saying, well, how are you going to do it? Well, they came here. They managed to come here. They managed to come here without organisation and money. Now, we've got money and organisation, so I'd guess, you know, I'll tell you how you get people out of a country. You put on a plane and you fly it. It's absurd, isn't it? Nice one, Anglo. Aprasha Kanata Katutu.
We spend millions a day keeping them here, so you just spend the money different, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. And it's not only that. I mean, if anyone thinks that when white natives are a minority, if anyone thinks they're going to extend anywhere like the generosity and kindness we've extended to them, to us, yeah, okay, maybe. If you really believe that, I mean, fucking hell, these termites, man. Isn't it ironic? It's like a metaphor, isn't it? I've got these termites invading me and, you know, they're going to eat me house. There are some benefits to renting. It's funny, actually. I said to my missus, I said, can't we build one of those traditional old wooden Cambodian houses? Like, I'm thinking of saving money, you know, it's just a few logs. And she said, yeah, but they get eaten and fall down. I said, well, why do people live in them then? She said, well, they just build another one. And it takes a couple of days. I said, really? She said, yeah. And next time I went to the province, on the way up there, I saw about 30 houses being built at different provinces. Just people banging logs in the ground. You know, if they get an infestation, sometimes they spray the wood. But, you know. Anyway, sorry, I went off track a bit.
He wasn't.
Let me just get this back into your head. It feels great, doesn't it? It feels like someone's saying what we want to hear. The numbers are looking incredible. The clock is ticking. This could be the last chance. This could be the last chance, right? So that's where we are.
Wrong about the history part. Reform UK, when Farage took the leadership in June 2024, had around 40,000 members. It took until late November 24, roughly 5 months, to reach 100,000. The SDP, one of the most dramatic British party launches of the 20th century, reached 65,000 members in its entire first year. UKIP, the loudest party in the room for over a decade, peaked at around 45,000 members. The Green Party's membership expansion between 2014 and 2015, treated at the time as a political earthquake, added 52,000 members over 18 months. Restore Britain claims to have done it in a fortnight. Now, because this channel's credibility depends on...
So those numbers are all looking amazing. You know, numbers are only of value relatively and comparatively, and he's just giving you a load of numbers. So Restore looks like it's way ahead of the game. You know, what everyone knows about UKIP, everyone knows about the Greens, and then Restore has done it and done what they managed. You know, like it's quadrupled what they managed to achieve in a matter of days. We're on it. This is happening. Here we go.
I'm not just telling you what sounds good. A caveat. These figures are entirely self-reported by the party. No independent body has verified them yet. Membership costs 20 quid a year and sign-up is digital only, which almost certainly makes the numbers look larger by comparison to parties that required in-person sign-ups or higher fees historically. And Restore Britain wasn't even fully registered with the Electoral Commission until the 4th of March. So take the number...
Which is interesting because I think I made my video... When did I make my video? Because I didn't see that on that website on the 4th of March. But nonetheless, that might have been my fault. I'm not perfect.
Seriously? Yes. Treat them as gospel? No. What you can say with confidence is this. Even accounting for all of that, the rate of growth is absolutely extraordinary. The direction is real. Something is actually happening here. By the 2nd of March, Lowe was announcing well over 10,000 volunteers offering their time and posting, again, quoting directly, a political party has never seen such rapid organic growth. A start for Restore Britain I could have not realistically imagined. Let's kick on. Dozens of local branches becoming operational. 5 candidates announced for North...
Right, hang on, that's important. That's what I was talking about earlier.
A start for Restore Britain I could have not realistically imagined. Let's kick on. Dozens of local
this idea of setting up loads of small local branches that don't smell of Westminster. This is, you know, you can understand what I'm saying. I don't need to keep going over that. This is being seen as a strategy to get past the Western European political system, which is in place to prevent radical change. Again, that's not just an opinion, people. That is how and why they are set up in the way they are. It's to prevent radical change because the powers that be, which is just a flash way of saying the power, doesn't want radical change because it's doing very well out of the status quo. So the system exists to prevent radical change.
Branches becoming operational. 5 candidates announced for Norfolk County Council seats. The federated structure, Grand Yarmouth First as the prototype, being built at speed. And before we go any further, as a brief reminder of the terrain, since the full policies were covered last time, Restore Britain has a 133-page document titled Mass Deportations, Legitimacy, Legality and Logistics, Net Negative Immigration, a referendum on reinstating the death penalty, abolition of the Welsh Senedd and Scottish Parliament, and in the same document, sitting alongside all of those, Restore the British Pub. The most telling sign that Restore Britain is being...
And there's things on the Electoral Commission like inclusivity. If your party isn't inclusive, you can't register it. And isn't that a weird thing? Isn't that 1984? Because that surely can't be right. How a cultural idea becomes a legal precedent. Hang on. Yeah, but I don't want my party to be inclusive. It's intentionally exclusive. And we've talked about this before, like culture. You know, you can't say Christmas, say holiday period. You can't say Easter, say holiday period because it offends other cultures. Yeah, but culture is about exclusivity. Culture says we are us, you are you. Doesn't say we're better than you. Doesn't say we don't like you. It just says we have our own history, our own traditions, our own ways of being. And that is what makes us exclusive. That is the function of culture. That's what it exists for.
If you're offended by my culture, that's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yet when you get to the legal side of things like the Electoral Commission, they'll bring cultural ideas like inclusivity and DEI in. I want to set up a party that is exclusive to this or exclusive to this, which is, by definition, exclusive to others, not inclusive to everyone. And then they can say, well, you can't set that party up because if everyone can't join it, it's not inclusive. And the law says it has to be. That is so limiting. But that's why it's all going down the Swanee.
Being taken seriously is not the polling numbers, it's not the membership count, not the number of ex-followers. It's that both major parties have visibly repositioned since the pressure around Rupert Lowe began building. That's the establishment acknowledging, without saying so, that the political ground beneath them is moving. So let's start with Labour. On the 12th of May 2025, Keir Starmer gave what became known as the Island of Strangers speech, warning the UK risks becoming, in his words, an island of strangers. Political scientists noted at the time that the speech could have been delivered.
It's amazing that he said that. It's his rivers of blood speech. I mean, you've missed the boat a little bit there. It already is. When I grew up in the 70s, everyone on my street, I knew the names of them. I often knew their parents. I knew the people who lived in the houses, young couples with like babies and that. But I often knew the old people as well. All the doors were open. And as a little nipper, 4 or 5 years old, you can see Daughter of Albion's video she made about a rant I went on about this. I'd go into all those houses. I'd just walk in. The doors are open. They'll make me a glass orange squash. I'd sit on the sofa and they'd sort of just talk to me. That was how it was. And some of the other kids would come in. And the geezer who was in the house would sometimes take us out in the garden, get the cricket bat out or whatever. Or, and everyone knew everyone. And then when I went off to get my liberal arts education and my master's degree, when I come back to see my mother, she didn't know anyone on that street, except for a couple of people like her who sort of hung on. Who's the neighbours, Mum? I don't know. They're like some sort of young. They're young. I think he runs his own glass company or some replacement windscreens. What? That's all you know about them? How long they been there? About 2 years. That right there is an island of strangers. When you don't know your neighbours, I live in an ethno-state. I live in a place that's 98% Khmer. I live next to a slum. Literally a slum. It's an old cinema that has got thousands of people living in there. It's a shanty. It's essentially a shanty town. Everyone around it knows everyone. Everyone. And if anyone causes any trouble, it's dealt with by the community. They don't call the police. I haven't seen a policeman in Cambodia for like 7 years. They don't want to get them involved. The police don't want to get involved either. They don't need to. If you cause problems for the community, you're going to lose out because you need that community. These people can barely eat. Even if they get a job, it's only about $200 a month. What, you're going to feed a family of 4 on that? And they don't have families of 4 out here because they actually breed at replacement rates. The average Khmer girl will have 5 kids by the time she's 24, I think. No, 5.1 is 5.1 children by the time she's 24. That sounds a lot to us because we're not breeding at replacement rates. But my girlfriend's mother was one of 13. And that's not weird. That's not anomalous. Everyone, all the old people in the provinces are like that. And I know because I've asked them, how big was your family? Oh, I'm one of 15. Their mother had like 13, 14, 15 children. And you know why they done that? To survive. How weird is that? And how weird is that even after a communist revolution that tore this country in half and took it to hell and back, it's still 98% Khmer, ethnic Khmer people. They done it to survive. And they're still surviving. Anglo drops another 10-bit. It's incredible. We haven't seen a high trust society for decades now, Chris. Yeah, it's gone. If you haven't got skin in the game, I can't stand people dropping rubbish for an instance. Back in my day, if you opened like a pack of crisps and finished them and threw the bag on the ground, you were looked at like some kind of arsehole. What the fuck are you doing? This is our country. What are you doing? It's our street. But people who, when it's fragmented and it's an island of strangers, I'm only here for the welfare. I'm only here for the tax dodging. I'm only here for, they're not here for the food or the weather. So they don't care about things like that. And I'm not saying all natives do either. Of course not. And that's because it is an island of strangers. Like I was in e-commerce for 20 years. Now I'm a professional writer. Do us a favour and buy it. It's fucking brilliant. Read the reviews on Amazon. But cheers, Packer. But what was I going to say? I can't remember. Something. I don't think that's it. This is what I was going to say. I don't think you should be able to vote unless you've got children, land, or a business. If you don't run a business, and I don't mean like there's no blagging it here. Look, let's set up a little limited company and just sell like a glass of water a week. No, you've got to. There'd be a threshold that you had to pay a certain amount in corporation tax. And unless you done that, had children, or what was the other one, Packer?
Land.
Had children, owned land, or run a business, you don't get to vote. Why? Because you haven't got any skin in the game. You might say, yeah, but it's my country. Yeah, but you're going to be dead soon. And so, no. Might be a bit radical, but radical problems require radical solutions.
Delivered almost in its entirety by Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Farage himself stood up in Parliament and told Starmer, "We very much enjoyed your speech on Monday. You seem to be learning a very great deal from us." Starmer later said he deeply regrets the phrase.
Majority of guys were unaware of this.
Don't know why I'm getting adverts.
Unfortunately, end up in the front.
That's the first
The
time.
immigration white paper that followed was titled, and I want you to notice this, restoring control over the immigration system. Even the name echoes Brexit-era language. It proposed extending the settlement qualification from 5 to 10 years, raising skill thresholds, ending overseas care worker recruitment, and toughening deportation powers. A University of Southampton and LSE study tracked the impact of Labour's rightward pivot on immigration. The findings, Labour support fell 4 percentage points among its own voters.
I mean, you know, these are putting like a band-aid on someone having their head cut off. It's just ridiculous. It sounds, oh, well, I do feel, you know, what these far-right parties are saying. I do understand it because, you know, they moved a load of people into the hotel down the road and all the local girls now can't go out because they keep getting assaulted and that. So I do understand it. And then Starmer comes out with these, we're going to increase the skill threshold. Really? That's what you're going to do, is it? Okay, they're not going to lie about that, are they? On that form that says, "Are you a qualified doctor?" they're going to just say yes. Have you got proof of that? Yeah.
That isn't even already happening, though.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, exactly. John Hughes drops Ayrton Senna into the bag and he says, "I'm still relatively young. I can't help but feel a lot of anger toward our own people for what's happened and is happening. I agree we've been attacked for institutions. Look how..." That's hard. I know it's only a typo, but it's quite a big one. Maybe you're talking about COVID there. I don't know. Yeah, but, you know, yeah. But we've also been totally demoralised. Since the Second World War, the leftist orthodoxy has just made us out to be arseholes. And, you know, the march through the institutions, all that sort of thing. Look at it. Look at every gang. Look at the media. Look at the police. Look at the universities. They're run by leftists. The schools, the teachers, they're run by leftists. Not only are they run by leftists, but they're feminized as well, which is why young boys are falling behind. A certain ethnicity of young boys are really falling behind. You know, these feminized systems, so much. These things don't happen by accident. These things happen by years of planning. And it's all turning out lovely by the people who planned them and you know, and who have ideologies which have in their magic books, you know, get into other lands and take them over. That's part of the plan. I'm not saying we're off the hook, but you know, you know, like we don't collectivize, and we've been told not to. We got a culture that has individualized us. It's taken us down, and it's still going. Like, not only do we not breed at replacement rates, but that's going to go. We're not even going to pair up anymore. I tell you, if things carry on like this in 15, it's already happening. Young men don't want women. It's too dangerous. There's too many problems with it. Feminism has almost completely destroyed femininity. What? Hang on. Intentionally, because they want to be just like the boys. Well, you got that. How's that working out for you? How's that working out for you? Feminism, welfare, alcohol, immigration, the big four that have destroyed the West and continue to. Thank you for the donation, John. Much appreciated.
Zero gain among anti-immigration voters. Not one.
So there you go. Labour, Starmer tried to give it we're looking at immigration. We're a little bit worried about the complete and utter demographic replacement and the loss of these isles forever. So we're going to do skills thresholds and, you know, maybe get some binoculars down at Dover. They lost a load of their own party. They lost a load of their own supporters and didn't get any anti-immigration. Why not? Because it's just bullshit. It's just smoke and mirrors. Give up, Starmer, you dolt.
Human Rights Watch described a further November 2025 asylum overhaul as capitulation. Durham University concluded that chasing the far right on immigration only enables them to set the government agenda and serves to normalise extreme positions. Labour moved right, lost its own voters, gained 0 new ones, and is now being lectured about going too far by the very right-wing parties it was trying to outflank. The political equivalent of selling your house to buy a lottery ticket and then being told you picked the wrong numbers by the man who sold you the ticket. In August 2025, Reform announced plans to deport 650,000 plus people using removal centres in remote parts of the country. Language Farage himself had previously described as a political impossibility. That's Reform hardening on immigration. At the same time, moderating on economics. The manifesto for large tax cuts dropped in November 2025. Robert Jenrick reinstating the 2-child benefit cap. Farage calling Vladimir Putin a
just reinventing the Tories.
very bad dude, a notably different register from where he was 2 years ago. Arden Strategies described this as Reform scraping the barnacles off the boat, trying to appear electable to mainstream voters, while Restore Britain occupies the hardline territory Reform used to own. And then
Exactly that. Anglo drops another 10 spot. Thank you, mate. Sydney Sweeney has good genes. A left despiser. I'm getting a little bit obsessed with Sydney Sweeney, to be honest with you. It's you know, I haven't had anything like this since the 80s, which you can read about in Love in the Time of Nudie Mags by Chris Dangerfield and an endorsement by a British author, Will Self. Seriously, though, I have to stop watching the videos because she's fucking hot, isn't she? She's something really hot about her. She hasn't got that traditional sort of classic, oh, she's a hottie, but she's fucking storming bird, and fair play to her. Fair play for doing that advert as well. She knew it would cause her problems. That's why she done it. She don't need the money, does she? Doesn't need the attention. I think we can put it like that. Nice one, Anglo, Aprasha Kanatu.
I can tell you what it is, Chris, about her.
Go on.
She ain't too good looking, and she's built for having kids. She's just got that aura about her. She's a mum in the making.
Yeah, I think she's good. I think that's a fair point, actually. She sends out those signals that she would like to look after a big family. Yeah. And for the first 4 years before that happens, you're going to have such a good time. What happened to women? Well, what happened to men?
23rd of February, Farage at Dover. Without naming Restore Britain directly, I fear that we will see a rise of a really worrying, dangerous form of extreme right ethno-nationalism. And I think we're beginning over the last couple of weeks already to see some
I don't like this whole, extreme means nothing. Extreme doesn't, obviously means something, but, it's always in context. It's extreme according to who? Extreme according to what? It's just one of those words it's a modifier, it's a verb or a noun modifier you can stick on just to get people a bit scared. We're seeing a really worrying, dangerous form. There's no explanation why. Dangerous form of extreme. There's literal communists in town centres recruiting people. Have you ever heard the mainstream media describe a communist as a dangerous, extreme form of leftism? Don't worry about the pile of 200 to 300 million bodies that have been left in its wake. That, you have to make some sacrifices if you want to get your ideology into place. But, you never hear that. Anyway, look at them. Look at the amount of adjectives and adverbs. Look how it goes on. And I think we're beginning over the last couple of weeks already to see some specimens of it. Nobody over the last quarter of a century has done more to defeat the genuine, intolerant, abhorrent, extreme, far right than me. Jesus, man. Yeah, all right, we get the point. You said dangerous and extreme 3 lines ago. Genuine, intolerant, abhorrent, extreme. Okay, yeah. Oh, you don't like them, no?
Specimens of it. He also said Restore's mass deportation proposals were beyond a point of reasonableness, decency, or morality. The man who spent 25 years as...
Yeah, but some solutions don't require decency, surely. Some solutions aren't. There isn't an element of decency to both parties. There's an element of decency, perhaps, to one side of this battle, but it isn't always going to be on both. Nigel Farage, are you suggesting that wars throughout history have always had an element of decency? Because as far as I can see, it's about killing people, dropping atomic weapons on civilians, I don't know, that sort of thing. Oh, there's no decency in this anymore.
The face of British Euroscepticism and anti-immigration politics is now warning about people who are too alarmed about immigration.
I just want to get, because I've got to wrap this up shortly, I want to get to the numbers. Right, here we go. So we go back to this fella that... Oh, yeah, it should play.
6% of the vote.
If you got 1 to 4 correct,
I don't know why I'm getting adverts.
you're a
I've never
chaotic
shown
thinker.
adverts on this.
If you got
Maybe I've
5
got
to
my
8
VPN
correct, you're an impulsive.
In the 2024 Greater Manchester mayoral election as an independent, described at the time as running a vigorous and well-funded campaign. By any reasonable measure, Advance UK's strongest possible candidate in one of their target areas. Here is the complete result. Can you see it? I can see it. So, of course, you've got Hannah Spencer first, Green Party, second, Matt Goodwin, Reform UK. This lady from...
Isn't it absurd that the Greens, the laughing stock of British politics, are winning seats? You know, they're nutters. I don't believe in mental illness. Most of you here will know my take on that. But I do get challenged when I see the Greens getting nearly 15,000 votes in a local election.
Labour, here we go, we've got Conservatives down here, got fifth, the Lib Dems, and then number 6, Sir Collett, monster raving loony party with a whopping 159 votes. And then, in 7th place, Nick Buckley, Advance UK, 154 votes. Advance UK, the party that Elon Musk endorsed, that Tommy Robinson joined.
And this is what I'm talking about. So this is where it starts to go downhill a little bit, people. Don't see this as a black pill. See this as a white pill. You've got to do some work. You've got to start spreading these words. You've got to, this is like going back and all the work that we done like 6-7 years ago to get the Overton window to where it is now. Work where you do lose friends. Work where how much do you want this? Because even Advance, Elon Musk, richest man in the world, banged it on Twitter. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Tommy Robinson, seen as the hero of the UK by many sort of your standard working class people. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Came under the monster raving loony party, which is literally a joke. It's been going for decades. 154 votes Advance got. And at the time, they were the big sort of right-wing party that were going to actually do something about the immigration and demographic situation of the UK. 154. Is that the amount? Is that the sort of votes you get after Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson got involved? And it goes downhill from here, really.
That held a conference at the Emmanuel Centre that claims 40,000 members, beaten by a pig by 5 votes. And Sir Collett did not attend any hustings. A pig-themed candidate who did not show up to the debate, campaign slogan, think big, vote pig, beat Nick Buckley MBE by 5 votes.
And didn't go to any hustings. If you don't know what that is, he didn't go to any of the things where you sit behind a table and the audience asks you questions about policies. It's just a joke. Just get a few quid together from some of your rich mates, apply, get on the Electoral Commission, and it's just a laugh so that you can turn up at the boozer next week and go, oh, check it out. Look, we were number 5. We got nearly 200 votes. That's it. That's the joke. That's it. And they beat Advance. They beat Advance. Think big, think big. There you go.
David Vance, right-wing commentator, not exactly a Labour sympathiser, delivered the verdict. Ben Habib's Advance UK had a decent local candidate in the form of Nick Buckley, and they got less than 0.5% of the vote. This is embarrassingly poor, and there is no sugarcoating it. Advance UK is electorally irrelevant. Now, the reason this matters for Restore Britain, beyond being genuinely funny, which it is what the reform number tells you. Reform, 10,578 votes. Advance UK, 154. That is the electoral market to the right of reform. Not 40,000 members, not Musk endorsements. 154 votes. 5 fewer than a pig who wasn't even there. The only BPC member pollster to have included Restore Britain in its tracker is Find Out Now. In November 2025, still in pressure group days, a party-commissioned poll put support at 10% for the prompted new party option. Commissioned by Restore Britain themselves, so apply the appropriate caveat. More significant is the independent work from February and March 2026. Find Out Now ran an independent tracker of 3,029 adults on the 20th and 21st of February 2026. The headline, 7% nationally, for a party that had been in existence for 1 week. By the 3rd and the 4th of March, another independent Find Out Now poll, 2,082 adults, still 7%, so the number is holding. For context, that 7% makes Restore Britain the 6th largest party by vote share in that poll, behind Reform at 25%, Greens at 18%, Labour at 16%, Conservatives at 16%, and the Lib Dems at 11%. The strongest among 18 to 29-year-olds at 11%.
Look at those numbers. Look at Reform. Look at Tories 0.2 at the top there with 25%. And then you go down to Restore, who are going to save the UK, 7%. Under the Greens, under Starmer, the bloke that's wrecked the country, under the Tories, not only Tories 2.0, but the actual Tories. Who are they? Under the Lib Dems, 7%. Well, we're flying. We're absolutely flying.
Chris?
And the number that should concern Farage more than any membership.
Sorry, Packer, go on.
You got an entropy, mate.
An entropy? I haven't even got entropy. Did you mean an entropy or buy me a coffee?
It said entropy, I believe.
I didn't even know I had that set up. I can check, though. Who's that? Me, Young Bill. Didn't even know I had that set up.
VTubing enthusiast.
Who's that? Me, Young Bill. What's that? What are you saying, Picard?
VTubing enthusiast sent you it.
Well, it's not showing at the moment.
Well, he says entropy. Maybe he didn't mean entropy.
All right, it's not showing at the moment, but I've got it live now. Maybe because I didn't switch it on, but I will be able to find out. And if it doesn't come through, I can get you that money back. So, but I'll find out the. Pardon?
It does mean entropy. He's confirmed.
Okay. Nice one. I don't know why that isn't showing, but it might come up in a minute. It might take a little bit of time to process. I'll keep my eye on it, and I'll have a look after the stream. I can get into my entropy account. Okay. So, who's the name of it? VTubing enthusiast. All right, let me get a screen grab of your name so I don't forget to have a look. Sorted. Okay, nice one. Much appreciato. That's actually really helpful because entropy don't pay out unless you hit $100. And I'm at something like 70. And I said to him, look, no one donates for entropy anymore. Can I just have my $70? They said no. So slowly I'll get up to that 100 and they'll have to pay out. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. Sorry, I can't give you screen time.
Figure, 15% of 2024 Reform voters now back Restore Britain. A JL Partners poll from February 2026 found that 86% of the British public cannot identify Rupert Lowe when shown his photograph. Among Reform voters specifically.
That was what I was talking about earlier. Rupert Lowe was known by just 14% of voters last March. Now it's even lower. So this is the point I'm trying to make. Please do not confuse me with someone who's trying to put a downer on Restore Britain. I'm not. I'm quite the opposite. But look at that number. 14, we see these numbers. Oh, we got 100,000 members in a couple of days. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this. This March, like now, where we are now, less than 14% of the British voters, not just the public, the people who are actually going to vote, they don't even know who he is. They don't even know who he is. And that's why they're getting 7% votes and not like 28%, which Reform are. Because Nigel Farage makes great television with his stupid flat cap and his fucking pint of beer in a pub going, He's totally unthreatening. Nothing he says is going to make any changes to the nation. He is status quo. Now, he's not Francis Rossi. I'm not saying that. But essentially, he'll keep things running on exactly how they are. And that's why they love having him on telly, because the telly are the powers that be, the media, the long march of the institutions, the leftists. They're all connected. They're all globalists. They want it, yep. And he's pulled an absolute masterstroke, really. It's a bait and switch, but it's almost like it. He's putting himself forward as this sort of edgy far-right anti-immigration party. That sounds familiar. Who else has done that over the years? Who else has sort of put themselves forward as a sort of a far-right anti-immigration party? Oh, the Conservatives. Didn't Boris Johnson say he was going to absolutely slash immigration? And what happened under his watch? Immigration went up. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. And less than 14% of the electorate know Rupert Lowe. Not as a friend, as in recognise who he is.
Identify Rupert Lowe when shown his photograph. Among Reform voters specifically, somewhere between 71 and 86% cannot name him. By comparison, only 17% cannot identify Nigel Farage. To be fair, 3 weeks in, Farage didn't have universal name recognition in 2013 either. But this is the single most challenging figure for Restore Britain's electoral prospect.
And I don't know if I haven't seen as far as this. So when I got to that figure, I thought, well, watch this video. But there is a difference. Okay, no one recognised Farage in 2013, let's say. All right, so he's had, 13 years to build up a reputation, or 15 years, whatever. Rupert Lowe hasn't got that time. This is the last chance. Because if the next government is not an anti-immigration party, they're just bringing in voters. This is exactly the situation America was in. If Trump didn't win... And Trump's not the answer to all the problems. There'll never be anyone like that, because no one person can answer all the problems. But if you saw, Biden had an open border, America, the United States of America. It's obscene. It's absurd. It was an open border. They were just coming in. There were caravans. Remember the caravans? Just like millions of people, just get it back. No, you get there. They give you a stamp. They give you an house. They give you a phone. They give you some money, and then you can go and work, and you can push wages down for the people in America, and commit endless crimes because no one knows who you are. And the countries that sent you emptied their prisons to send you, allegedly emptied their mental asylums to send you. And so it's all very well saying no one could recognise Farage back in the day, but Rupert Lowe hasn't got that time. If we keep bringing immigrants in, legal and illegal, or just legal, at the rates we are now, this is, I would suggest, the last chance saloon. because after that, you've got so many people in the country that rely on the free money. They're not going to vote for the party that wants to send them home. Of course they're not. That no one needs to know anything about political economy or anything to know that you're not going to vote for the party that wants to send you home. You're going to vote for the party. And I tell you now, if it happens, you will see manifestos like, vote for us or you're going to get sent home. That'll be it. And then you're going to start seeing Muslim independence. And then you're going to start seeing like whole swathes of like Afghani and wherever you name it, Haitian groups in Parliament calling for changes in British law that look after them. Okay. Okay. So Rupert Lowe hasn't got the time that Farage has had to get himself recognised. He's got a couple of years. That's if the Electoral Commission even let him register. Now, again, he might be doing this independent, loads of independence thing. It is a recognised strategy.
Voice is simply faster, more natural, and more flexible than typing. He said he's voice-pilled, and I can see why.
You can have those numbers, 30 million views, 7% in the polls. If the vast majority of the country doesn't know even who you
Right, this is really the denouement, and I'll probably knock it on the head after this. So listen to the denouement of what this geezer says. He's obviously done the time. Hello, Brad. Hello, Vincent. Check this out.
restore Britain's electoral prospects. You can have those numbers, 30 million views, 7% in the polls. If the vast majority of the country doesn't know even who you are, winning seats under first past the post is, to put it charitably, ambitious. Let me show you what first past the post does to parties like Restore Britain.
And this is the Western European electoral system that prevents radical change. See how it works.
Not predictions, real numbers. 2024 general election, Reform UK, 14.3% of the votes, 4,117,610 people, 5 seats. The Liberal Democrats got 3.5.
What was that? 4 million or 40? He said 4 million, didn't he? 4 million votes. They got 5 seats. 5 seats. 4 million people voted for them.
5.5 million votes, 500,000 fewer than Reform, and won 72 seats.
Hang on, I'm going to just let this play because this is where it gets. I will just let this play.
14.3% of the votes, 4,117,610 people, 5 seats. The Liberal Democrats got 3.5 million votes, 500,000 fewer than Reform, and won 72 seats. Reform needed 800,000 votes to return 1 MP. The Conservatives needed roughly 56,000. In 2024, a Reform vote was worth approximately 1/15 of a Conservative vote in terms of parliamentary representation. 1 person, 1 vote. But some votes are 15 times more equal than others. UKIP in 2015, nearly 4 million votes, 1 seat. The SNP got 56 seats on 1.5 million votes, roughly 150 times more representation per vote than UKIP. UKIP finished second in 120 constituencies and won precisely 1 of them. Based on all historic parallel, a new party polling at 7% with geographically spread support would win, in any normal election year, approximately 0 seats. Even at 12.6%, UKIP won 1. Even at 25.4%, the SDP Liberal Alliance won 23, which felt like a catastrophe at the time, and was. For Restore Britain to win 20 to 30 seats, they would need either extremely concentrated geographic support, like the SNP model, a national vote share exceeding 20% with strong regional concentration, or the total collapse of both Reform and the Conservatives in target seats, none of which is remotely plausible by 2029. The most honest projection, best case, 1 to 5 seats in areas with genuine local organisation, Great Yarmouth being the most obvious candidate. Likely case, 0 to 1 seats, with vote share acting primarily as a spoiler for Reform and Conservative in dozens of marginals. By splitting the right-wing vote, Restore Britain's most probable electoral impact may be to help the parties its own voters most despise hold seats they would otherwise forfeit. The SDP split the left in 1983. Labour ran on a left-wing manifesto. The SDP took the moderate left vote, and the result was Thatcher's landslide. The same dynamic could run in reverse in 2029. A hardline right party splitting the right vote and handing Labour, the Greens, or the Lib Dems seats they would otherwise lose. Farage himself observed, in a rare moment of self-awareness, that there are 11 parties currently claiming to represent the right or centre-right of British politics. Reform at around 25%, the Conservatives at around 16 to 18%, Restore Britain at around 7%, plus Advance UK, UKIP, the Heritage Party, the SDP, Reclaim, Britain First, oh, and Andrew Tate's bruv, Britain Restoring Underlying Values. That's a real name that exists in the world. What colour is your baguette? The critic put it plainly. The worst case scenario in this very busy playing field is that votes are split across these parties in marginal seats that other parties, Labour, the Lib Dems, or God forbid the Greens, end up winning.
End up winning. He did say the worst, this is the, or I'll take it back. The worst case scenario could mean the Greens win. Suddenly that 100,000 sign-ups, and 30 million views and Elon Musk and all that, when you start looking at it in context, doesn't mean anything. Less than 14% of the British electorate do not know who Rupert Lowe is.
It's that other parties, Labour, the Lib Dems, or God forbid the Greens, end up winning. 9 parties, same voters, merciless maths. So, where does all of this leave us? Restore Britain is a genuine political phenomenon. The membership figures, even accounting for the self-reporting caveat, are without precedent in British political history. The councillor defections are real, 7 from Kent County Council alone, making Restore the 3rd largest group on the council. The policy pressure on both Reform and Labour is measurable and documented. The 7% polling from a standing start in 2 weeks is remarkable. But the maths of first past the post is, was, and will be merciless. Restore Britain faces the same structural wall that has frustrated every challenger party in modern British electoral history, and 86% of this country still cannot identify its leader. That, more than anything, is where the real work lies ahead. Only, none of that is actually the whole story. UKIP never won Westminster power. Nigel Farage stood for Parliament 7 times and lost all 7. By every conventional electoral measure, UKIP was a failure. But UKIP forced Brexit, a referendum nobody expected to happen, on a result nobody expected to deliver. UKIP never formed a government. They made it impossible for the government not to move. The most consequential political forces in modern British history have often been the ones that never took office. They just made certain positions impossible to ignore. The question for Restore Britain isn't whether they'll win a majority in 2029. They probably won't, let's face it. The question is whether they can do what UKIP did. Force the agenda.
And that is where I'm going to end it, because he pretty much repeats himself there. And that is where this is what's it about. And Brad said there, like they said, Trump wouldn't win. I don't think Restore Britain is going to win the election. I don't think Rupert Lowe intends that to happen. I think that's why they're going for these little independents. But if you've got enough power, and if you like Rupert Lowe done his own investigation into the grooming gangs, because the Labour Party said they'd do it, and then he went, it'll be all right. So he done it, and those numbers have come out, and all that stuff that's happening. I don't think it's been published in full yet, but that's what he's done. So what you do, you move the Overton window, you put information in front of people, and that's how you build your numbers. That's how you build your power. And it also means don't get disheartened when you see news that says, "Oh, they haven't won there. They're not going to win anything there. They're not going to win anything there." Because what Rupert Lowe might be doing might actually be a stroke of genius. He understands the political situation. He understands where his strengths are and where his weaknesses are. And he's going to work with his strengths and not the weaknesses. He's not going to try and beat this person, beat this person, and beat this party and beat this party. You know, as we've seen with the, you know, he said, well, I'm a political party before he'd registered. So this is a question of spreading information. This is a question of having power by getting information out there. So if you've got skin in the game, if you believe in this, you've got a role to play in that. You've got a part to play in that. And if you've got social media, make it count. And if you haven't got social media, get some. Because you know, this whole politics is IRL. There's no distinction between IRL and the internet anymore. It's just our culture. Our culture is largely online, and we occasionally meet up in real life. But what Rupert Lowe has kind of done, and what the shift in the Overton window over the last few years has done, has allowed you to say things like, I think Rupert Lowe's got some good ideas without losing your job, without your kids getting picked on at school. And that requires not only the Overton window moving, but actually saying these things as well. Anglo drops another 10 spot. Sydney Sween, no, we've had that one. He dropped another one. Blasphemy laws are coming in, Chris, and doing away with jury trials. What that's actually doing away with is democracy. You know what? Isn't that the Magna Carta or something? How do you do away with jury trials? No, we're not doing that anymore. I mean, it's absurd. Absolutely absurd. And no, we can't trust these judges. No, of course we can't. Of course we can't, because the what's it called? Oh, come on. I'm so old, I just can't remember words anymore. But the whole legal system is part of the long march through the institutions. You know, it's run by leftists. So in answer to your question, your rhetorical question, no, you can't trust them. And that's he doesn't. That's why he's doing it. We can't let the lumpen proletariat make legal decisions. It could work against us. They could make decisions that we don't want them to make. Let's bring it down to one bloke who we're keeping sweet. Thank you, Anglo. People, I am going to knock it on the head there because I've got to do some writing. Anglo, I can't play any of Mumford's music. He's taking it all offline. I mean, me and him ain't speaking at the moment, so that will likely be it. But I have got a tune I'll play that I think people will enjoy. So, there you go, people. Brad James drops a Lady Godiva. It's always been a dream of mine to be a Haitian representative in Parliament and throwing peanuts at an imagined e-fit of Bill I have on my wall. Bradley, we've all got dreams, my friend. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. Good luck. I don't know what to say. Bradley, you're banging out those words, aren't you? People, all right, Anglo, I'll do that for you. I did rack up Mandom, but you've been very generous as usual, so I will do that. Poor old Rags said he wanted that at his funeral. I'm trying to convince him out of it. Why do I always put StreamYard in? It's SoundCloud, isn't it? Right, get a shot of that. Bosh. Yeah, people, the good news is I am finishing the novel I've been working on for 10 years. The big, massive, my magnum opus. And I'm actually getting somewhere with it. Check this out. You'll like this. Right, Scrivener, which is software for writing manuscripts, yeah. I used to use Word, and Word was never made for manuscripts. After a certain amount of words, it just starts going, and it just starts rearranging them and eating words off. And it's like, what's going on? Really bad. You want to keep notes, you have to like open another file and things. Scrivener, brilliant. You've got all these little bits you can leave notes in. You can write a little scene that you don't know where it goes, but and you put it over there, and it's got a title and that. Loads of really good things like that. But when I first got it, I didn't know how to use it, and I wrote this like 800-page novel, and it got to the point where I'd type a sentence, and then I could sit back, I could hit my vape, I could have a cup of my tea before it had written the sentence out. And I'd be going online on writers groups and saying, is Scrivener any good? And people would be saying, oh, you have to, it's the best, you've got to use it. And I was thinking, I'll stick with it then. And it turns out what you're meant to do is break your manuscript up into bite-sized chunks that are easier to handle. I talked to Mush, my old chat GPT, about it. And so I broke my big 10 years I've been working on it manuscript up into loads of little binders, they're called. And last night I finished editing the first binder. So in theory, that's publishable. There's a chance I'll go back and have another look at it, but in theory, that's ready to go. And I even said to Mush, I said, that's the first binder finished. And it was like, sweet, we're making moves. Only another 29 to go. And that binder was 7,000 words. ChatGPT said to me, you've got to break your manuscript up into binders that are at most 7,000. So that's what I've done. I just broke them all up into 7,000. And the last one's like 5,000 because, it was never going to be divisible by 7. 30 binders. And that's taken 3 days. So in theory, 3 months. But I'll be starting. It's 2:00 in the morning, and I'll go and make a cup of tea now. I'll get a cake, and I'll be up all night writing. And it's lovely, though. I'll tell you what, that novel's fucking brilliant. I mean, Loving the Time of Nudie Mags. If you've bought it and haven't left a review on Amazon, please do. It really helps, even if it's just a few words. Enjoyed this, recommended, loved it, anything. If you haven't bought it and you want to support the channel, it's a cracking read. It really is. Packer don't even read, and he couldn't put it down. Packer, be honest. I don't want to just, you enjoyed it, didn't you? You're muted.
Yeah, I did. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I was a teenage boy myself. I was 16 that year, but I get it. I remember it all. It was, I grew up in London.
It's about a 14-year-old. It's a 14-year-old's journal in 1986. Anyway, enough of that. Here's a bit of music from 90s band Household. Packer, I'll let you go now, mate. Ta-da, Picard. Give him some love in the chat, people. Say hello to Picard. He's great. I can't stream about him anymore. I made sure he was available. I sent the link over to his missus. I can't remember if I put it actually. No, it was in the chat anyway. I don't know what's going on here. When I look at all these messages, I can't make head nor tail of most of them. Anyway, here's a bit of music from 90s smack rock band Household. And this one is dedicated to Anglo-Saxon, and it's called New Shoes. Yeah, I'll get rid of my boat. I'll be putting your comments on the screen as I go, which is really another way of saying feel free to donate if you want. Ta-da!
I'm stupid, I'm lazy, but in the discotheque I still look crazy. Love me, baby, I only tell lies 'cause the truth escapes. Summertime, we can get new shoes. I'll have brown and you can get the blues. I'm knackered, I'm fading, but in the right light I still look vaguely human. Happy, it won't be long before we cave in. Summertime, we can get new shoes. I'll have brown and you can get the blues. You can get the it's only slight. I need you, love me, and I feel the same again tonight. Summertime, we can get new shoes. I'll have brown and you can get the blues. You can get the blues. You can get the you can get that
It is a cracking tune. Packer, thank you very much for that, Lady Godiva, man. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you on. As you know, I'm about to tell you in the debriefing again, and you get really awkward and nervous and go, I don't say anything. I don't say anything. We have the same conversation, people, after every stream. It's quite good fun. Yeah, we used to have like CDs of our soul. There's about another 30 songs that we recorded as well. I've got a mate who said he found 3 or 4 CDs, each one with like 4 songs on it. And he took a photo of him. So if I can get him to send them to some friends, I've got a thing coming over. Mrs. Me in it sent me an email, so we haven't fallen out like I thought we had. She's obviously just been very busy, and I know why. I don't know if that's public knowledge, so I'll leave that there. But so that's nice. But yeah, there's about, so I think it was E for Elephant said he listened to that whole SoundCloud. Yeah, there's some lovely tracks on there. Some of the slower, more sort of personal ones are quite sweet. But we recorded about 40 songs in total, household. Anyway, listen, thank you all very much. Thanks to everyone who donated. Thanks for everyone who answered and got busy in the chat. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. And thanks to Packer. I can't do these streams anymore. Sorry there was no background. I'm too tired. And now I'm writing. Look after yourselves. Hoita.